"You don't belong here," whispered Tommy Johnson as he stepped into the ancient tomb, his voice barely above the echoing hum of the dimly lit corridor, the air thick with the scent of stone and polished brass. The flicker of torches casting long shadows on the walls lined with centuries-old inscriptions. Every step he took seemed to awaken the history embedded in the very walls. His sneakers squeaking softly against the cold marble floor as he tried to steady his racing heartbeat, the weight of curiosity pulling him deeper while caution tugged him back, a sense of reverence mixing uneasily with the excitement of discovery. He glanced at the intricate carvings along the corridor, each figure frozen in time, their silent gazes following him. And then he heard it, a subtle shuffle behind a stone pillar, a presence that made the hairs on the back of his neck stand up. Mr. Harrison, the tomb guard, tall, impeccably dressed, eyes scanning the corridor with the precision of someone who had dedicated decades to protecting every relic in this hallowed place. And Tommy felt the chill of awareness that he was intruding in a space far more controlled than his everyday world, yet a spark of boldness, the kind that comes only from youth and unspent energy, urged him forward. He whispered a soft apology, his words almost swallowed by the vastness of the stone chamber, but Mr. Harrison's gaze fixed on him instantly, sharp and assessing, the faint glint of a metal on his uniform catching the torchlight as he moved with deliberate authority, every gesture communicating control. Tommy's eyes flicked to the shadows where statues and sarcophagi created an irregular maze, each angle a potential obstacle, each step a decision with weight far beyond his usual playground choices. He remembered his mother's caution, the voice of reason echoing in his mind, reminding him that respect for history was as important as curiosity. Yet the thrill of discovery was undeniable. A sudden draft from a side doorway brought the scent of aged parchment and polished stone, and Tommy's attention snapped toward it, heart pounding as he considered the possibility of an unseen ally, a figure observing silently, someone who might understand the delicate balance between youthful wonder and the strict rules of this venerable place. The corridor seemed to stretch endlessly, the flickering torchlight creating a rhythm that matched his heartbeat, each flicker highlighting the exquisite details of ancient carvings while also casting potential dangers in stark relief. Tommy felt the interplay of fear and excitement sharp in every sense. The faint echo of footsteps behind him warned that Mr. Harrison was closing in. The tension thickened like a storm about to break. He could feel the air vibrating subtly with anticipation, the weight of history pressing down, yet also the invisible possibility of discovery. The space felt alive, responsive to every movement, every whisper, and Tommy knew that the next moments would define not only his understanding of the tomb, but also his own capacity for courage. And just as he contemplated retreat, a faint light flickered near a carved niche, revealing a hint of a hidden passage, a secret that seemed almost to beckon him forward, promising answers and challenges in equal measure. And in that split second, he realized that every choice, every cautious step, and every daring move would carry consequences far beyond the corridor itself, the air thick with anticipation, the shadows lengthening, and the story of his bold curiosity and the watchful eyes of the tomb guard was only beginning to unfold in ways that would keep every observer on the edge of their seat. Tommy Johnson took a careful step toward the flickering light near the carved niche, his palms slightly damp from the nervous anticipation coursing through his body, the cool air of the corridor brushing against his face as he moved with heightened awareness, every sound echoing sharply off the stone walls, the distant drip of water from a hidden ceiling pipe punctuating the otherwise still silence. He could feel the weight of the ancient history pressing on him, a mixture of awe and caution, urging him to move slowly. Mr. Harrison's presence was unmistakable behind him, the sound of precise footsteps a constant reminder that he was being observed. Tommy's eyes scanned the shadows for any potential escape routes or clues that might give him an advantage. The torchlight danced across the intricate carvings, revealing hidden details he had not noticed before. The figures etched in stone seemed almost to come alive as he passed, their expressions frozen in solemn gazes that appeared to watch his every move. A faint draft whispered through the corridor, carrying the scent of aged wood and stone, signaling a possible side passage. Tommy crouched slightly to examine the base of the niche, noticing a subtle indentation that suggested a mechanism, his curiosity overcoming the fear as he reached toward it, the cold marble under his fingertips grounding him in the reality of the tomb. Mr. Harrison's shadow shifted closer, his eyes narrowing as he noticed Tommy's deliberate movements, the intensity of the guard's gaze forcing Tommy to focus every thought on precision and caution. He recalled the lessons his mother had instilled about patience and careful observation, reminding him that one wrong move could alter the entire outcome. The soft click of the mechanism echoed faintly, a sound that seemed amplified in the enclosed space, and the niche slowly revealed a hidden compartment containing an object wrapped in a delicate cloth. Tommy's breath caught as he carefully lifted the cloth, revealing a small, intricately carved artifact that pulsed with the history of countless generations. The sudden light reflecting off its surface caught Mr. Harrison's attention immediately, the guard's expression shifting from suspicion to intrigue as he took a cautious step closer. Tommy held the artifact steady, feeling a sense of accomplishment tempered by the ever-present awareness of being observed. He could sense the tension in the corridor rising, the interplay of shadow and light creating a rhythm that matched the quickened beat of his heart. Every step and breath measured against the silent watch of the guard. Tommy's mind raced with possibilities, considering how this discovery could change the dynamics of the space and perhaps provide leverage or insight into the tomb's deeper secrets. The air seemed charged with anticipation as he prepared to retreat carefully, knowing that any sudden movement could trigger a reaction. The torchlight flickered across the walls once more, casting long shadows that danced like silent sentinels around him. Tommy's focus remained unwavering, the combination of fear, excitement, and the thrill of uncovering something hidden keeping him alert and ready for whatever would come next. And as he took a slow, deliberate step back toward a safer position, his eyes remained fixed on the artifact, aware that this moment of discovery was only the beginning of a much larger journey through the mysteries and challenges that lay ahead. Tommy Johnson inched cautiously down the corridor, his eyes darting between the flickering torchlight and the intricate patterns etched into the walls, each step echoing softly against the cold marble floor, the quiet hum of the ventilation system providing an undercurrent of tension that seemed to make the space pulse with anticipation. He held the small artifact carefully in both hands, feeling the smooth contours and the weight of history pressing against his fingertips. Every detail of the carvings telling a story older than any book he had ever read. The shadows of the statues and sarcophagi seemed to lean toward him as he passed, their silent presence both intimidating and oddly protective. Mr. Harrison followed at a measured distance, his footsteps precise and deliberate, the authority in his posture unmistakable. Yet there was a flicker of curiosity in his eyes as he observed Tommy's careful handling of the artifact, the tension between vigilance and fascination hanging in the air like an invisible thread. Tommy's mind raced as he considered the significance of what he had uncovered, the possibility that this small object could reveal secrets of the tomb and its long-hidden chambers. The corridor seemed to narrow slightly, the walls drawing closer as if urging him to focus. Every breath a reminder of the delicate balance between discovery and respect for the space he had entered. A faint draft whispered through a side doorway, carrying the scent of aged stone and faint traces of dust disturbed by long-forgotten movements. Tommy paused for a moment, his heart hammering, feeling the weight of both history and responsibility. He could hear the subtle creak of the floor beneath him. As he shifted his stance, the artifact catching the torchlight in a way that made the intricate carvings glow softly, highlighting symbols and details that had been hidden in shadow moments before. Mr. Harrison's gaze followed every motion, his eyes narrowing slightly, as if weighing the significance of Tommy's find, the quiet tension between them palpable, each aware of the other's presence and intentions without a single word being spoken. Tommy's curiosity and careful observation began to reveal patterns in the carvings, sequences that hinted at passageways and chambers beyond the visible corridor. His excitement mingled with caution, aware that one misstep could disrupt the fragile equilibrium of the space. Yet driven by a sense of purpose and wonder, the corridor stretched forward, the flickering light casting dynamic shadows that made the ancient figures seem almost animate. Tommy's movements became more deliberate, guided by intuition and the subtle cues hidden in the stonework, every detail of the environment, from the echo of his steps to the faint shimmer of dust in the air, contributing to a heightened awareness that made each decision feel consequential. He paused again near a large sarcophagus, the surface etched with delicate patterns and inscriptions, his eyes tracing the lines, interpreting meaning from the symbols. And in that moment, a small stone shifted slightly beneath his foot, a gentle reminder that the tomb, though silent and ancient, was not entirely passive. Tommy inhaled slowly, gathering his focus, the combination of anticipation, respect, and curiosity propelling him forward as he prepared to navigate the next stretch of the corridor with caution and insight, fully aware that every action could lead to new discoveries or unforeseen challenges, and that the journey through the tomb, with its shadows, carvings, and silent witnesses, was only beginning to reveal its hidden depths. Tommy Johnson paused briefly at a widening of the corridor where the torchlight revealed a complex mosaic embedded into the floor, each tile depicting scenes of ancient rituals and long-forgotten ceremonies, the intricate patterns capturing his attention and slowing his steps as he traced the designs with his eyes, the cool air brushing past him carrying the faint scent of stone and dust, a whisper of history that seemed to tell its own story. Mr. Harrison remained a calculated distance behind, his gaze never leaving Tommy, measuring each movement and reading intention in the slightest shift of posture. Tommy felt a mix of respect and determination, the corridor now feeling alive, responsive to his presence, as if the walls themselves were observing his every choice. He crouched to examine a section of the mosaic that appeared slightly raised, noticing subtle inconsistencies in the alignment of the tiles, a clue perhaps, suggesting a hidden mechanism or passage. His fingers hovered just above the surface, careful not to disturb the integrity of the ancient craftsmanship. The faint creak of the stone beneath his foot reminded him that even the smallest actions had consequences in this venerable space. A cool breeze drifted from an unseen opening ahead, carrying with it the faintest echo of distant footsteps and the smell of aged parchment. Tommy's heart quickened as he realized that he might not be alone beyond what he could see. The mosaic glinted under the torchlight, revealing symbols that seemed to point toward a direction not previously noticed, drawing his gaze forward with the subtle promise of discovery. He took a deep breath, centering himself, every sense heightened by the combination of awe, caution, and curiosity. The air thickened with anticipation, each echo of his movement bouncing off the stone walls, reinforcing the feeling that the tomb was far from inert, that it had its own rhythm and logic, a silent language that could be deciphered by those who observed closely. Mr. Harrison shifted slightly, the soft tap of his boots against the marble floor adding to the cadence of the moment, a measured rhythm that Tommy found both intimidating and oddly reassuring, as if the presence of the guard confirmed the seriousness of the task, while also emphasizing the importance of care and respect. Tommy's eyes moved from the mosaic to a shadowed alcove just beyond, noting a faint outline that suggested a recess or hidden compartment, his mind racing with possibilities, weighing the potential significance of any discovery against the need for caution. The flickering torchlight created dynamic shadows that danced across the walls, statues, and sarcophagi, giving the illusion that the space was breathing, alive with secrets waiting to be uncovered. Tommy felt a surge of excitement tempered by awareness, knowing that each deliberate step, each careful observation, was part of a larger journey through history, understanding, and the balance between curiosity and respect. He adjusted his stance, preparing to advance carefully toward the alcove, artifact in hand, fully aware that the next moments would be pivotal, each choice carrying weight and potential consequence. The corridor stretching forward, the torchlight flickering across ancient stones, shadows lengthening, and the story of discovery and vigilance continuing to unfold with every measured step. Tommy Johnson edged closer to the shadowed alcove, the artifact clutched carefully in his hands, feeling the smooth surface press reassuringly against his palms, the corridor stretching silently around him, every flicker of torchlight revealing new textures and subtle reliefs in the ancient stone walls. The air cool and still, carrying a faint scent of aged limestone and polished brass. His eyes scanning for any signs of additional passageways or hidden compartments, the intricate carvings, casting long shadows that shifted and danced with each movement, creating the illusion of figures leaning toward him. Watching his progress, Mr. Harrison followed silently, his tall frame moving with calculated precision, every step deliberate and measured, a silent presence that was at once intimidating and strangely protective. Tommy's thoughts raced as he considered the mosaic on the floor, the hidden recess in the alcove, and the potential significance of the artifact in his hands. The interplay of curiosity and caution sharpening his senses, the soft echo of their footsteps combined with the faint hum of the ventilation system created a rhythm that seemed to mirror the beating of his heart. The corridor's quiet depth amplifying every sound and movement. Tommy crouched briefly to examine the base of the alcove, noticing subtle indentations that suggested the presence of a concealed mechanism or secret compartment. His breath shallow but steady, each inhalation a deliberate attempt to focus, to ground himself in the present while remaining alert to every detail of the space. The torchlight reflected off the polished surfaces, illuminating patterns and inscriptions that had previously remained hidden in shadow, their significance becoming gradually clearer as Tommy traced each line and symbol with careful attention. Mr. Harrison's gaze followed his every action, the intensity in his eyes both a reminder of authority and a reflection of mutual respect for the history and sanctity of the tomb. Tommy's pulse quickened as he recognized sequences in the carvings that hinted at a hidden passage beyond the alcove, a possibility that filled him with equal measures of excitement and apprehension. The air seemed to hold its breath with him, the silence, stretching taut and electric, punctuated only by the occasional creak of the stone beneath their feet. Tommy moved forward deliberately, each step slow and precise, feeling the weight of history and responsibility settle across his shoulders, the mosaic beneath his feet catching the torchlight in subtle shifts, revealing further clues about the layout and purpose of the corridor, the shadows lengthening and shifting around him as if responding to his presence. And in that delicate interplay of light, shadow, and careful motion, Tommy realized that he was navigating not only a physical space, but also the invisible rhythm of observation, authority, and discovery, fully aware that every choice, every measured movement, and every deliberate breath could shape the outcome of what lay ahead. The hidden recess waiting just beyond the flickering light of the torch, promising secrets, revelations, and the continuation of a journey that was only just beginning to unfold with all its intricate challenges and subtle wonders. Tommy Johnson took a slow, deliberate step into the recess, his hands steadying the artifact as he adjusted his grip, feeling the subtle contours and the intricate etchings beneath his fingertips, the torchlight flickering across the stone walls, casting elongated shadows that seemed to stretch toward him, the cool air of the tomb carrying the scent of ancient limestone and the faint metallic tang of long-forgotten chambers, every sound amplified by the silent expanse, the echo of his own breath mingling with the soft hum of the ventilation system, creating a rhythm that kept him alert. Mr. Harrison moved silently behind, maintaining a calculated distance, his tall frame and precise movements a constant reminder of authority and oversight. Tommy's eyes scanned the walls and the floor for any additional clues, noting subtle inconsistencies in the carvings and reliefs that suggested hidden panels or pathways, his pulse quickening with the possibility of uncovering something entirely unexpected. The shadows cast by the mosaic tiles danced across the recess as he knelt to examine a small opening partially concealed by a decorative stone panel, the light glinting off the edges highlighting the precision of the ancient craftsmanship. He traced the lines with his fingertips, interpreting the patterns and symbols as they revealed hints of a mechanism that might unlock further secrets. A faint draft brushed past him, carrying with it the whisper of movement from deeper within the corridor, an invisible signal that the tomb held more than could be seen. Tommy's awareness heightened, every nerve alert to the slightest sound or change in temperature. The stone underfoot smooth, but worn from centuries of unseen footsteps, the flickering torchlight catching the artifact, creating a soft glow that illuminated not only the object, but also subtle inscriptions on the walls behind him. Mr. Harrison's presence remained a steadying force, the silent watchful figure offering both a sense of caution and an unspoken Partnership in observation. Tommy adjusted his stance, considering the placement of each foot, the spacing of each handhold, his movements careful and precise to maintain balance and control, the quiet rhythm of the tomb accentuating the weight of each decision. The combination of curiosity, caution, and anticipation sharpening every sense. He inhaled slowly, grounding himself in the moment as he prepared to manipulate the stone panel, the interplay of light, shadow, and tactile feedback, guiding his fingers to the correct position, the air thick with expectation, every creak and subtle shift of stone magnified in the stillness. Tommy's mind racing with possibilities of what might lie beyond, the hidden compartment offering both discovery and challenge, the mosaic beneath his knees glinting as the torchlight flickered, the intricate designs telling a story of history, ritual, and careful planning, every detail demanding attention. And as he carefully applied pressure to the mechanism, feeling the subtle movement beneath his fingertips, he understood that this moment, this precise alignment of observation, patience, and courage would define the next stage of his exploration, the tomb alive with the presence of history, the silent guardians of stone and shadow observing every motion, anticipation and curiosity mingling to propel him forward into the secrets that awaited just beyond the recess, promising revelations that would continue to test his awareness, skill, and respect for the ancient space he navigated. Tommy Johnson carefully shifted his weight, the artifact still cradled securely in his hands, the subtle click of the hidden mechanism echoing faintly through the corridor, signaling that the panel had moved just enough to reveal a narrow passage beyond, the torchlight flickering across the walls and floor casting long, dancing shadows that seemed to breathe and shift with the movement of the air, each step forward measured and deliberate, the stone cool and smooth beneath his fingertips, the faint scent of aged limestone and the distant aroma of polished brass carrying through the narrow opening, his eyes scanning the dim space ahead for any indication of its layout, patterns on the walls subtly guiding his attention to inscriptions that had remained unnoticed until now. Mr. Harrison following closely, maintaining his careful distance, his posture rigid yet attentive, a silent guardian watching over the unfolding discovery, the soft hum of the ventilation system blending with the echo of their footsteps, creating a rhythm that amplified the tension in the tomb. Tommy felt the weight of history pressing on him, every inch of the corridor telling a story of human endeavor, devotion, and meticulous planning, the artifact in his hands seeming to pulse faintly, as if resonating with the space around him. Encouraging further exploration, he crouched to examine a subtle indentation near the base of the wall, noticing intricate markings that suggested a sequence, a pattern that could reveal the next step in uncovering the tomb's secrets, the air cool against his skin, each inhale sharp and precise, grounding him in the moment while allowing his mind to anticipate what lay ahead. The corridor narrowed slightly, guiding him with the natural architecture and subtle hints embedded in the carvings. Tommy's senses heightened, every sound amplified, every flicker of light significant, the shadows of the sarcophagi and statues around him creating a complex interplay of forms that both concealed and revealed potential paths. Mr. Harrison's presence remained a steadying force, his calculated gaze observing every movement and decision, a reminder that while curiosity drove the exploration, respect for the space was paramount. Tommy advanced cautiously, following the clues suggested by the mosaic patterns and the inscriptions, the interplay of light and shadow emphasizing each detail as he moved, the air thick with anticipation and the subtle electric charge of discovery. Every step forward a balance between caution and exhilaration. The corridor seemed to stretch infinitely, the hidden recesses inviting him with both promise and challenge, the artifact guiding his focus, its smooth surface a tactile reminder of the purpose behind his careful actions. Tommy's breath measured, his eyes alert, every sense engaged as he prepared to navigate the newly revealed passage, the ancient walls whispering secrets of generations past, the tomb alive with the presence of history and the silent attention of the guardian, anticipation and wonder intertwining to propel him further into the mystery, knowing that each movement, each observation, and each decision could illuminate long-hidden truths or reveal new questions. the corridor ahead promising revelations that would test both his ingenuity and respect for the sanctity of the space. The light flickering over the stone and artifact, shadows stretching and contracting, marking the continuation of a journey through history, observation, and discovery that was only beginning to unfold. Tommy Johnson stepped cautiously into the narrow passage revealed by the recessed panel, the artifact held carefully in both hands as the torchlight flickered across the stone walls, casting long, shifting shadows that seemed to stretch and sway like living figures. The corridor ahead dim and mysterious, carrying the faint scent of dust, limestone, and the subtle warmth of air moving through unseen vents, each step measured and deliberate. The cold stone underfoot firm yet worn, echoing softly. With each careful movement, Mr. Harrison followed a few steps behind, his tall frame and precise movements exuding both authority and watchfulness, the quiet rhythm of their passage punctuated by the distant hum of the ventilation system, a soft whisper of movement, and the occasional faint drip of water somewhere deeper in the tomb. Tommy's eyes scanned the walls and floor, noting the subtle carvings and inscriptions that appeared to guide the way, the mosaic patterns on the floor creating a path that seemed both deliberate and enigmatic, every detail telling a story of craftsmanship, devotion, and centuries of preservation. The artifact in his hands reflecting the torchlight, illuminating symbols and etchings previously hidden in shadow, the narrow passage stretching ahead, its walls adorned with faint reliefs that caught his attention, prompting him to pause and examine their meaning. Mr. Harrison's gaze never leaving him, observing not only his actions, but also the subtle cues in the carvings, the interplay of light and shadow enhancing the sense of depth and mystery. Tommy crouched slightly to inspect a small indentation near the base of the wall, feeling the smooth surface and tracing the lines with his fingertips, interpreting their arrangement as a sequence that hinted at a secondary mechanism or concealed opening. The cool air brushing against his face carrying with it the faintest whisper of distant chambers, signaling possibilities yet to be explored, his pulse quickening with anticipation and focus, every sense heightened, aware that the balance of curiosity and caution was crucial to moving safely and effectively, the walls on either side seeming to close subtly as he advanced, the flickering torchlight playing across the surface of the artifact and the surrounding reliefs, revealing details that required careful attention to fully understand, the mosaic beneath his knees glinting with the reflections, highlighting patterns and directional cues, each step carefully considered, the passage alive with the presence of history, its architecture, carvings, and shadows responding in a subtle rhythm to his deliberate motion. Tommy's breath measured and steady, grounding him while maintaining acute awareness of the surroundings, anticipating each turn, each shift of the light, and each subtle sound. The combination of intrigue, respect for the tomb, and anticipation of discovery propelling him forward, the corridor stretching into darkness, the promise of hidden chambers and secrets just beyond his reach. Every motion and observation contributing to the unfolding story, the tension and excitement intertwining as he prepared for the next stage of exploration, aware that each deliberate step would reveal more about the tomb's mysteries and the depth of the history preserved within its walls, the passage alive with the silent presence of guardians and the weight of centuries of meticulous care, anticipation, and curiosity driving him forward into the unfolding journey of discovery. Tommy Johnson advanced carefully, each footstep echoing softly in the narrow passage, the torchlight casting a warm flicker across the carved walls, illuminating intricate symbols and patterns that seemed to guide him forward while simultaneously testing his attention to detail, the cool air brushing against his skin carrying the faint scent of ancient stone and dust, the corridor stretching ahead like a silent invitation to discovery. Mr. Harrison following with deliberate precision, his presence both imposing and reassuring, maintaining a measured distance while observing every movement, the interplay of shadows and light creating a rhythm that heightened Tommy's awareness, his hands steady as he held the artifact, feeling the smooth curves and subtle engravings that connected him to the history embedded in the walls, the mosaic beneath his knees glinting with reflections from the torch, each tile telling its own story while simultaneously hinting at hidden mechanisms and Secret passageways, a faint draft whispered through the corridor, signaling a possible opening further along, and Tommy's pulse quickened with a mixture of anticipation and cautious excitement. He paused briefly to examine a series of carvings depicting abstract shapes and figures, noting subtle irregularities that suggested a pattern, a sequence that could unlock yet another layer of the tomb's mysteries. The quiet hum of the ventilation system blending with the soft echo of their movement, creating a soundscape that felt alive, responsive to every shift and breath. Tommy crouched slightly, adjusting his stance to inspect a small recess in the wall, fingers tracing the edges with deliberate care, interpreting the arrangement of lines and symbols as hints of a concealed compartment. The artifact catching the torchlight, reflecting subtle glimmers that revealed additional details previously hidden in shadow. Mr. Harrison's gaze unwavering, observing every motion, the silent communication between observer and explorer reinforcing the need for precision and respect in the space. Tommy advanced slowly, guided by intuition, the reliefs and carvings offering clues about the direction and purpose of the corridor, each step calculated to maintain balance and situational awareness, the corridor narrowing in spots and opening in others, the interplay of light, shadow, and reflection creating a dynamic environment that required constant focus. The ancient stone walls seemed to exude presence, the weight of centuries pressing gently on the senses. Tommy felt the combination of awe, curiosity, and cautious determination sharpen every perception, aware that the space was not merely a passage but a living archive of history and human effort. The faint hum of the hidden ventilation and occasional drip of water punctuating the otherwise hushed surroundings, each sound amplified and carrying significance in the silent expanse. Tommy's focus heightened, every sense attuned to the potential for discovery, the corridor continuing to stretch ahead, inviting him to explore further, the hidden recesses, mosaic patterns, and carvings offering guidance while presenting subtle challenges, the artifact steady in his hands, reflecting the torchlight in ways that revealed new details and deepened his understanding. The anticipation of what lay beyond the next bend pressing forward, shaping each deliberate step, and the corridor seemed to respond, shadows shifting and stretching as though aware of his presence. The journey through the tomb continuing with an intensity that drew every ounce of attention and curiosity into the unfolding narrative of discovery, history, and quiet suspense. Tommy Johnson paused at a subtle widening of the corridor, the artifact steady in his hands as he allowed his eyes to adjust to the dim light ahead. The walls adorned with intricate carvings that seemed to tell stories across centuries, each figure frozen in stone, yet conveying motion through posture and detail, the torchlight flickering across the surfaces casting long, shifting shadows that danced like silent witnesses to his careful movements, the cool air brushing against his skin carrying the faint scent of limestone and aged wood, the soft echo of his footsteps intermingling with the distant hum of ventilation and the occasional drip of water from an unseen ceiling, creating a rhythm that amplified every sound and movement. Mr. Harrison maintaining a precise distance behind, his presence a constant reminder of the balance between vigilance and exploration, every step calculated, deliberate, and measured, the mosaic beneath Tommy's feet catching the torchlight in subtle glimmers, the patterns and symbols guiding his attention forward while hinting at hidden mechanisms or secret passages. He crouched briefly to examine a small indentation along the base of the wall, tracing the carved lines with his fingertips, interpreting them as sequences or patterns that could indicate the next stage of discovery, the cool stone grounding him as he contemplated the significance of each detail, the passage narrowing and widening in unpredictable intervals, the interplay of light and shadow creating a dynamic environment that demanded his full attention, the air thick with anticipation, each breath measured and precise. Tommy's mind racing with curiosity and cautious calculation, aware that the delicate balance of observation and movement would determine the success of his exploration. The artifact reflecting the flickering light, revealing etchings and patterns previously hidden in shadow, each detail providing insight into the ancient architecture and purpose of the tomb. Mr. Harrison's watchful gaze never wavering, noting Tommy's deliberate adjustments and responses to subtle environmental cues, the corridor seeming to respond in kind, the shadows lengthening and contracting with every shift of light, every movement of Tommy's hands and feet. The cool air carrying a faint whisper from a side alcove, a hint that more of the tomb's secrets lay just beyond the visible space. Tommy advancing slowly, every step and breath synchronized with his heightened senses, the combination of anticipation, respect for history, and focused curiosity driving him forward, aware that the narrow passage was more than just a physical space, but a puzzle woven from centuries of care, symbolism, and hidden knowledge, the subtle interplay of light, shadow, and reflection guiding him. The mosaic, inscriptions, and reliefs all offering silent guidance. The corridor stretching ahead, filled with the promise of hidden chambers and discoveries that required patience, intelligence, and respect to uncover. The tomb alive with history, the quiet rhythm of exploration and observation propelling Tommy further into its depths, every moment laden with anticipation, every sound, shadow, and flicker of light carrying significance. The journey continuing with careful, deliberate steps into the unknown, the unfolding story of discovery, vigilance, and historical intrigue deepening with each measure forward. Tommy Johnson moved deeper into the newly revealed chamber, the corridor opening into a space larger than he had anticipated, the ceiling arching high above, the torchlight reflecting off polished stone surfaces and intricate carvings that lined every wall, each depicting scenes of ritual, history, and symbolic figures frozen in mid-motion. The air cooler here, carrying the faint scent of earth and aged stone, every sound amplified. The soft scrape of his shoes on the stone floor, the distant hum of ventilation, even the subtle shift of dust particles creating a rhythm that seemed almost alive. Mr. Harrison following a measured distance behind, his posture alert, eyes scanning every detail. The authority he radiated both comforting and exacting. Tommy's focus sharpened as he allowed his gaze to move across the carvings, noting the subtle irregularities and patterns that suggested hidden compartments or mechanisms, the artifact in his hands catching flickers of light, illuminating previously unseen etchings and guiding him toward the central feature of the chamber, a raised dais surrounded by carefully arranged mosaic tiles, their colors muted but glimmering faintly in the torchlight, each tile depicting a story fragment, symbols linking to the inscriptions on the walls and the details of the carvings above. The corridor leading into this space feeling simultaneously constrictive and expansive, the narrowing walls giving way to this vaulted area. Tommy adjusting his stance to maintain balance on the smooth floor, every movement deliberate, every breath measured. The interplay of anticipation and caution heightening his senses, he crouched to inspect a section of mosaic that appeared slightly raised, noticing subtle patterns that might act as keys or indicators to the next discovery. The faint draft brushing past him carrying the sound of distant chambers, signaling further areas yet unexplored. Tommy's mind racing with the possibilities, the careful interpretation of symbols and patterns becoming a mental puzzle. Each step forward bringing him closer to unraveling hidden truths embedded in the stone for centuries. Mr. Harrison's silent observation reminding him that precision and respect for the space were paramount. The shadows cast by the torchlight creating dynamic movements across the walls, statues, and carvings, the chamber feeling alive with the weight of history, every detail resonating as if acknowledging his presence. Tommy's heart racing not from fear, but from the thrill of discovery and the need to navigate the environment thoughtfully, the artifact in his hands steadying him, reflecting the flickering light and highlighting inscriptions that had gone unnoticed, the mosaic tiles beneath his knees glinting and providing subtle directional cues, the combination of light, shadow, and reflected images creating a visual rhythm that guided his movements, each step measured, deliberate, every action a careful negotiation with the environment, the chamber stretching out before him, the possibility of hidden recesses or further puzzles just beyond his line of sight. Anticipation building as he considered the alignment of symbols, patterns, and reliefs, the air thick with expectation, each movement, observation, and decision bringing him closer to understanding the secrets of this ancient space. the torchlight flickering across the polished surfaces, shadows stretching and contracting, marking each moment of exploration with silent significance. Tommy advancing slowly, fully aware that the unfolding discoveries, the intricate carvings, and the mosaic patterns were part of a larger narrative that required patience, insight, and careful attention to navigate. Every detail contributing to the evolving story of the tomb, its history, and the intricate interplay between discovery, observation, and anticipation. Tommy Johnson stepped cautiously onto the raised dais at the center of the chamber, the artifact held firmly in his hands, its smooth surface reflecting the flickering torchlight in patterns that danced across the vaulted ceiling, the intricate carvings on the walls and ceiling seeming to lean toward him, drawing his attention to subtle symbols and inscriptions that had remained hidden in shadow until now. The air cooler here, carrying the faint scent of stone and aged mortar, every sound magnified in the enclosed space. The soft scrape of his shoes against the polished floor, the gentle hum of ventilation, and the distant drip of water from an unseen source creating a rhythm that heightened his senses. Mr. Harrison following carefully behind, maintaining a deliberate distance, his presence commanding respect while offering a steadying influence. The corridor beyond the dais stretching dimly into shadow, hinting at additional chambers and secrets just out of sight. Tommy's eyes moved from the artifact to the surrounding mosaics, each tile telling fragments of stories, connecting with the reliefs and carvings in ways that suggested a deeper narrative woven into the very structure of the tomb, the patterns appearing as a sequence, a key, guiding him toward the next phase of discovery, the interplay of light and shadow accentuating subtle details, the torchlight flickering across figures that seemed almost alive, their frozen expressions conveying intention and history. Tommy knelt briefly to inspect the base of the dais, tracing the edges and lines of the stone, interpreting the arrangement as hints toward a concealed mechanism or pathway, the artifact in his hands steadying him, the cool stone beneath his palms providing a tactile reminder of centuries of craftsmanship and meticulous care, the mosaic glinting faintly with reflected light, each tile revealing directional cues that encouraged careful exploration, the air thick with anticipation, every breath measured. Tommy aware that the balance of curiosity, caution, and respect was crucial to navigating the chamber, Mr. Harrison's unwavering gaze reminding him of the need for precision, the quiet rhythm of the space, the gentle echo of their movements, and the subtle vibration of the stone all combining to heighten focus and awareness. Tommy shifted slightly to examine a small alcove revealed in the far corner, the recess suggesting another hidden compartment or a continuation of the passage, the light flickering across intricate carvings revealing patterns that connected to the inscriptions on the walls, a subtle trail of history and design guiding him forward, the passage beyond holding both promise and challenge, the delicate balance of exploration and observation maintained, each step forward deliberate, every detail carefully interpreted. Tommy aware that his movements, the artifact, the torchlight, and even the shadows themselves were part of a complex interaction with the ancient environment. The chamber alive with centuries of presence, history, and anticipation building as he considered the alignment of mosaics, carvings, and reliefs, the artifact illuminating further details with its reflective surface, each pattern providing insight into the tomb's design and secrets. The journey continuing with measured, thoughtful movement, every sound, flicker, and reflection carrying significance, Tommy advancing into the deeper recesses with acute awareness, fully immersed in the unfolding story of discovery, observation, and anticipation, the chamber stretching ahead, its hidden corners and inscriptions promising revelations that required patience, intelligence, and respect, the silent weight of history pressing gently against him, guiding each careful step forward into the mysteries that awaited just beyond the torchlight, the interplay of light, shadow, and reflection creating a rhythm that carried him deeper into the tomb, every moment alive with subtle suspense, curiosity, and the quiet exhilaration of uncovering centuries of hidden knowledge. Tommy Johnson finally reached the far end of the chamber, the narrow passage opening into a subtle alcove where the flickering torchlight revealed a small, elevated platform, the artifact in his hands catching the glow and scattering reflections across the surrounding stone. The walls lined with intricate carvings that seemed to converge toward the center, the patterns and inscriptions forming a silent language of guidance. Centuries of intention embedded in every line, the cool air carrying the faint scent of dust and stone, each breath deliberate as he processed the culmination of the journey. Mr. Harrison remaining a measured distance behind, his tall presence casting long shadows that seemed to mirror the carvings themselves, the corridor behind them stretching dimly, a reminder of the distance traversed and the discoveries made. Tommy's gaze swept across the platform, noting a subtle indentation that suggested a final mechanism, the artifact aligning perfectly with the carvings when placed on the raised surface, the mosaic beneath catching the torchlight in patterns that mirrored the artifact's etched details. As if confirming the alignment, Tommy's hand steady. He placed the artifact into position, feeling the subtle weight settle, and the smooth stone surface respond under his touch, the chamber seeming to exhale, the quiet air carrying a subtle vibration as though acknowledging the completion of a long-held secret, the shadows dancing and lengthening across walls, mosaics, and reliefs, the subtle play of light creating a rhythm that guided his perception. Mr. Harrison's gaze fixed on the alignment, the silent approval in his stance a testament to the significance of the moment. Tommy stepped back slightly, allowing his eyes to absorb the interplay of reflections, carvings, and torchlight, the chamber feeling simultaneously expansive and intimate, history pressing gently upon him, yet welcoming discovery and understanding, the air thick with anticipation and the quiet thrill of revelation, every detail meticulously observed, the faint draft from a distant opening carrying the sense of other spaces yet to be explored, the mosaic and carvings forming a continuous narrative that connected every section of the tomb into a coherent whole. Tommy feeling the weight of centuries in his careful attention to detail, the chamber alive with presence, every flicker of light, every subtle reflection of the artifact, reinforcing the sense of discovery and the culmination of careful observation, the journey through shadows, mosaics, and inscriptions having led to this singular point, each step, movement, and breath contributing to a rhythm of exploration, history, and insight. The artifact settled perfectly in the alcove, the subtle alignment revealing a pattern that seemed to illuminate not just the physical chamber, but the story embedded in the stone itself. Anticipation mingling with respect, the space around him quiet yet vibrant, the chamber offering both closure and promise, shadows stretching, mosaics glinting, carvings converging. A final sequence completed, yet suggesting the continuity of discovery beyond the immediate space. Tommy Johnson aware that each measured action had guided him to this point, the interplay of light, shadow, artifact, and stone creating a scene of quiet triumph and reflective understanding, the chamber resonating with the weight of history, observation, and discovery, the final alignment of artifact and carvings a subtle testament to curiosity, patience, and the attentive navigation of a space alive with centuries of secrets waiting to be interpreted.